Hallows Eve, that time of year again when all creatures of the night are unleashed to the world. It's time to return to where it all started. Another year, but the scares continue. Another month, but the fear proceeds to rise. This is the Venom month of horrors 2, Trapped in Time.
This is where Dave lives? Dave? Hi. Who the hell is that?
I am the Forgotten Queen.
Yeah. What's your name?
Sue.
Dave, something's gone wrong. I'm stuck here in 2017.
And the problem is...
You were meant to send me back to 2023. I just wanted to check something.
Well, you should have been more clear. I agreed to send you back in time, but it was you who failed to specify when or where. So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view. You really need to stop sending people back in time. Don't you have somewhere else to be? So, you haven't touched anything while you've been here, have you?
No, of course not. Look, I need you to send me back to the future, like, now.
Oh, I will. On one condition.
What?
I found a movie even better than The Dark Knight.
No, look, no more movies.
Yes, the greatest crowning achievement known to man. The finest piece of cinema churned out of Hollywood in decades. And you're going to review it with me.
What is it?
Wallace and Gromit!
Wallace and Gromit have been icons of British culture for nearly 35 years, and it's not exactly hard to see why, as the adventures of the hapless cheese-loving inventor and his long-suffering dog have encompassed 4 short films, 2 spin-offs, 6 TV shows, 4 comic strips, 16 video games, 2 stage shows, 2 theme parks, and a partridge in a pear tree. And they have 3 Academy Awards, 5 BAFTAs, and a Peabody to show for it. And if you're American, you might be wondering, what the fuck is Wallace and Gromit?
It's the same studio who made Chicken Run. Uncultured shits.
Amen to that.
It all started in 1989 when Aardman Animation produced the short film A Grand Day Out, where Wallace, stupidly thinking that the moon is made of cheese, decides to build a rocket and travel to space in order to have a picnic on the moon. As you do.
The adventures then continued in 1993 with The Wrong Trousers, where Wallace builds a set of mechanical trousers for Gromit's birthday, until they're stolen by an evil penguin called Feathers McGraw in order to steal a diamond from the museum, ending with a high-speed chase on a model train set. As you do.
Another adventure followed in 1995 called A Close Shave, where the duo work as window cleaners, until an evil robot dog called Preston frames Gromit as a sheep murderer before kidnapping Wallace and his new girlfriend Gwendolyn, ending with another high-speed chase before Preston tries to turn Wallace, Gromit and all the stolen sheep into mincemeat. These are flawless masterpieces.
How lovely!
But today, we'll be looking at the duo's feature-length tribute to horror cinema, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. A story about Wallace and Gromit working as a pest control company called Anti-Pesto, practically rabbit-napping all the bunnies who are causing a nuisance to the locals' vegetables just before their annual giant vegetable competition.
Simply by connecting the bun vac to the mind manipulation-o-matic, we can brainwash the bunnies.
Just go with it.
But as is typical for our dynamic duo, everything goes tits up and an evil were-rabbit is now on the loose and it's up to Wallace and Gromit, but mostly Gromit, to catch the beast and save the town's veggies.
How inspired!
In March 2000, Aardman announced that Wallace and Gromit would star in their first ever feature film, which directors Nick Park and Steve Box described as the world's first vegetarian horror film. Whatever the fuck that means. Wanting the movie to pay tribute to the Hammer horror films of the 1950s and 60s, whilst also staying true to the spirit of the shorts.
The title was originally going to be Wallace and Gromit: The Great Vegetable Plot, but DreamWorks, who were distributing the movie, ordered it changed, as they felt it was too wordy and difficult to sell to an American audience. Do they think Americans won't know what vegetables are?
Trust me, they don't.
Oh,
The title was then changed to the one we all know and love, a reference to the Hammer classic The Curse of the Werewolf, and production on the picture officially began in September 2000, but the issues didn't stop there. DreamWorks initially wanted a more recognisable American star to replace Peter Sallis as the voice of Wallace, but Aardman refused to comply with this, though as a compromise they agreed to hire Ralph Fiennes and Helena Bonham Carter in supporting roles. Because apparently Wallace and Gromit takes place in fucking Hogwarts.
In fairness, Gromit is a graduate of Hogwarts University.
Even the logo above the hall looks like the Hogwarts logo. They definitely did this on purpose.
Isn't it marvellous?
Marvellous. Marvellous.
DreamWorks were also constantly pestering the filmmakers to make the film more accessible to American audiences, frequently requesting changes to the dialogue and even wanting Wallace to drive a Ferrari.
Yeah, probably whilst performing a drive-by. On top of that, filming was incredibly slow. Because of the detail involved in the stop-motion process, it's estimated that only 3 seconds of usable footage was filmed per day. Nearly 3 tons of plasticine was used to make the characters and sets in 42 different colours, with over 100,000 baby wipes being used to wipe the stuff off of the animator's fingers. All in all, the movie took nearly 5 years to complete. These people have the patience of saints! I would have called it quits 10 minutes in!
The job's only half done.
So after 5 years of constant studio notes and non-stop working, Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit was released on October 7th, 2005. Though it wasn't too popular in America, it was still a financial success worldwide, grossing $192 million and was widely acclaimed for the humor, animation, and homages to horror cinema.
However, DreamWorks blamed the film's underperformance in the States on Aardman refusing to compromise for American audiences. And after the box office failure of his next picture flushed away, the studio's multi-picture contract with DreamWorks was officially terminated. To make things worse for Aardman, not long after the film was released, the studio's warehouse in Bristol containing all of their plasticine characters and sets burned to the ground, virtually destroying the entire history of the company. But at least they got a nuts joke in there!
In happier news, the film went on to become the first stop-motion movie to win the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. Another short film followed in 2008 called A Matter of Loaf and Death, where Wallace and Gromit now run a bakery. How many jobs could one man and dog have? And Wallace dates a famous TV star, not knowing that she's secretly a serial killer who murders bakers.
I'm pretty sure the filmmakers were the only ones who were baked at this point.
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them. And in January 2022, another feature film was confirmed to be in the works, set to be released by Netflix in 2024.
Or if the first movie was anything to go by, 2056. I must admit, the movie does have a lot of heart and charm. And if you can believe it, the music in this film comes courtesy of, guess, just have a guess. Honestly, take a wild guess who does the musical score for Wallace and Gromit. Go on, pause the video, leave a comment, guess. Hans Zimmer. Yes, Hans Zimmer, composer of The Dark Knight, Lion King, Pirates of the Caribbean, scored Wallace and fucking Gromit. Next up, John Williams, composing SpongeBob SquarePants.
What?
The funny thing is, this silly little stop-motion comedy is actually really creepy and quite scary at points. The title card alone looks awesome. We get an evil gnome and terrifying paintings everywhere. Seriously, every single painting or portrait in this film is shit your pants scary on its own. The movie genuinely has a really creepy atmosphere. They really accomplished what they set out to do. It does look like a Hammer film. I mean, the damn vicar gets stalked in the church and the suspense is insane.
Ah! You're hungry.
Oh, you are so dead. I love how he doesn't even go for a crucifix, he grabs some fucking courgettes instead.
It's also one of many scenes inspired by classic horror movies, as it's a clear homage to the 1958 Dracula film with Christopher Lee. In fact, the film is chock full of horror references from The Fly, Frankenstein, Ghostbusters, Jurassic Park, From Dusk Till Dawn, American Werewolf in London. There's so many things for a horror nut to pick up on, but it never feels shoved down your throat, and it blends with the comedy so well.
I can't front. There's a transformation scene paying homage to American Werewolf, and it is incredible. incredible. It's horrifying, and how fucking long must this have taken to animate? And it's still terrifying when his underpants fly onto Voldemort's face. How they do that? I do love how he still keeps his tiny ass bow tie on though.
One of my favourite references is the church scene where the villagers all get together to discuss the attack, an obvious homage to a similar scene in Jaws. It's a classic horror movie moment intercut with some genius comedy.
We have brought a terrible judgment upon ourselves.
Hey, give over!
I also love how the characters will describe the most ridiculous sounding scenarios, but they'll treat it completely straight. The vicar comes into the church on a wheelchair following the attack, and he's describing this giant rabbit like it's the fucking devil. It's genius.
Lest you too taste the wrath of the were-rabbit!
In fact, throughout the whole film, everything is shot as straight as possible. Even when the silliest shit possible is happening, the filmmaking itself never becomes overly cartoony.
The morning after the transformation, there actually is a lot of suspense as Gromit waits in anticipation to see if Wallace is his normal self or not. It's actually quite intense. This is Wallace and Gromit! I also adore how this movie perfectly encapsulates the British response to finding out that you're becoming this vicious, violent, disgusting monster.
Well, fancy that.
In fact, most of the film's charm comes from how unapologetically British it is.
Oh, Reg! Me teeth!
This was arson. Arson? Aye, someone arsing around.
And I hope they give them pests what's coming to them and all.
One at a time, if you please.
I never saw such cauliflower carnage. Worse than the great slug blight of 32. When there were slugs the size of pigs.
I love that Aardman stuck to their guns and didn't compromise for American audiences. It makes the movie so much more authentic.
And then Wallace starts to transform again. How many full moons have there been? Apparently every single night is a damn full moon in this place. And then it's King Kong's turn to be spoofed. Yeah, the references just feel natural. And like Phil said,
It's Dave.
they don't feel forced, it's just a lot of fun. But apparently Wallace and Gromit are now Batman and Robin. Look at this stuff.
Seriously, where does Wallace find the time, money, or resources to make all these intricate contraptions? Forget Anti-Pesto, clearly the man needs to work for Stark Industries.
And why does Wallace have his dog prepare him breakfast? This is slavery. It should be the other way around, dog dammit.
But that's what's so great about this series. It takes the typical dynamic between man and dog and flips it on its head and just lets the humour flow from there. Sure, Wallace is technically the human, but it's Gromit who does all the heavy lifting in this relationship. Hell, half the film's humour comes from watching Gromit's reactions to all the stupid shit Wallace does.
You shouldn't be so stupid then.
Seriously, take a shot every time Gromit rolls his eyes. You'll be dead by the 20-minute mark.
And also take a shot every time he says the word lad.
Lad, 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 lad.
I just can't handle it when Gromit might be in danger. It's a stupid, animated, stop-motion clay dog, and I don't like him possibly being in danger. Leave him alone! But how exactly can a dog drive a car? Or read? Or fly a plane?
Do you want to go back to the future?
Sorry, I'll behave. I'm starting to think Wallace and Gromit isn't based on reality.
Oh dear.
Wallace even has the audacity to have a go at Gromit for disappearing. Calm down, lad. You're the one who drove through the tunnel and nearly killed him. Leave him alone. He's such a good boy.
Are you sure you have a fiancé?
The animation is so impressive. I spent most of the film genuinely trying to figure out how the hell they pulled some of this off. Like having them simply roll. That shot alone must have taken weeks. And how the hell do they animate a mound of dirt digging underground?
I agree, the animation is spectacular. When watching most movies, you can more or less get an idea of how they were put together, but with this film, I'm genuinely stumped. That said, you can occasionally see some limitations. I could have sworn they reused the same animation of Philip sticking his nose in the air and walking away like 3 times.
The sheer amount of detail in the animation and stop motion is mind-blowing, and even small touches add to the comedy, like when Wallace is crying but subtly has a look to make sure that the others are watching. The only issue I really have with the animation is the movement for the dogs walking. They always look kind of off, but that's just a nitpick.
You're damn right it is.
Even if you look past the horror references, the film has some really funny moments in general. It has a great contrast between horror and comedy, and it's hilarious.
A bullet. A bullet?
A bullet?
Oh! What kind of bullet?
Mob supplies! Get your angry mob supplies here!
Although sometimes there are jokes that are really predictable. And fart or burp. Wow, that was really clever. I didn't see that coming. Did you see that coming? That was a very original joke. Oh my god, that really caught me off guard.
Allow us all to share in your moment of sorrow.
And cheer. Although the film truly tries to win me over by having as many puns as possible.
Caught red-handed.
To pay, please.
Oh, grand. We take cheque or cash.
Maybe you should keep your traps shut.
Are you a vegetable lover yourself?
They're growing on me. I'm just crackers about cheese. You stay here where you belong, in the doghouse.
I just have a hunch.
Run, rabbit, run!
But I am an adult, so I shall bypass all of the obvious jokes.
I'm sure that hole's getting smaller. Must be getting a bit full down there. Full suction.
Sex!
Although I must admit, there are a lot of jokes that are clearly aimed more towards the parents and not the kids.
Unlike Victor, he's never shown any interest in my produce.
Oh,
Non-wrestling.
No, I meant this one.
Just take a look at my wife's brassicas. Ravaged in the night.
Just smell it, Wallace. Feel its silken flesh.
oh yeah.
Isn't it the most sumptuous, succulent
yes.
specimen you've ever seen?
Yes.
Doesn't it fill your heart with desire?
Yes.
Just imagine what it would taste like.
Yeah, they need a cold shower. The thing is, it's not even like the jokes are dumbed down for the kids to understand. They're actually genuinely really cleverly written and well thought out.
The mind manipulation-o-matic.
Or as I like to call it, TikTok.
Damn, Wallace had the invention naming game down long before Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Another 30 minutes brainwashing should suffice.
Ah, it's Disney to their fans.
So Voldemort and Bellatrix are basically a couple in this. Kinda. Sorta. I do actually like the voice acting. A lot of it, they're pretty much unrecognisable. But Wallace is instantly in love with her. Like, he frames a picture of her and hangs it up in his house. This guy is so creepy.
No, he's not.
Look at him!
He's in love!
He should be in prison! The majority of the film is Wallace ignoring all of the dangers around him just to try desperately to get laid.
That being said, it is hilarious how Gromit spends a good chunk of the film just cock-blocking Wallace. He's doing God's work.
I mean, he really is. I think we're on the brink of having another Anakin Skywalker on our hands here. It's even Wallace's desperate need for a fanny that motivates him to fight back against the curse. Yeah, the power of thighs compel you.
I do have to say, though, I'm not a fan of Victor as a villain, which is especially disappointing when you remember how threatening and memorable previous Wallace and Gromit villains were. I think they should have either tried to make him really threatening or really funny, but it seems like they tried to make him a mix of both, and it doesn't really work for me.
I mean, the majority of the film is him and Wallace fighting over who can sleep with the woman, but me personally, I do think the comedy mixes well with the serious parts. They want to give Helena Bonham Carter their serious parts. Look at this, Wallace has become the Riddler. This is supposed to be aimed at kids and it's actually horrifying. This is all because everyone in town is trying to protect their own veg for the competition, but they take their vegetables so seriously here. They lock them up as if they're gold. Look at it, this one lady has 6 bolts protecting them. Hello?
Yes, is this Mr. Bohr?
Speaking.
This is the Northampton Police. We're unfortunately calling to tell you that your house was broken into and ransacked, burnt to the ground, your fiancé murdered, your children kidnapped, the ashes urinated and defecated on, and your friends were also all shot in the head and there's nothing left behind. I'm truly sorry to tell you this.
Oh my god. Are my potatoes okay? Oh my god, call the FBI! The vegetables are under attack! Quick, protect your cauliflower! Even Wallace's lady friend has a fucking sanctuary of vegetables. Is this bitch Poison Ivy?
Kiss my baby.
Yes, another time, perhaps.
Kiss my potato.
Not now.
Kiss my artichoke. Look,
How they risk their lives to protect their damn veggies. What is going on?
But the veg competition has to come first.
Forget my spouse, children, pets, or grandchildren. The carrots must live.
The gold carrot belongs in the zoo!
that belongs in a museum.
A lot of the charm comes from watching it and thinking, what on earth am I watching? It's a dog inside a van with a giant mechanical were-rabbit on the roof doing a sexy strut. Yes, Wallace, you could most certainly lift a tree. Get back in the car. I mean, you're literally in a car. Ah, very good. Major props for the animators not holding back. The evil dog flies a Nazi plane. Jesus Christ. Okay, the toy plane running out of power, so they both rush to find change to continue the fight is quite possibly one of the funniest things I have seen in my life.
I do have to say, though, if I have one critique about this film...
Aha!
Shut up.
Oh.
I do think that the climax goes on for way too long. It's still fun, but I do think the filmmakers were hampered by the longer running time that comes with a feature film and just started making shit up in order to fill time.
Voldemort shoots a golden carrot to try and kill Wallace, and we enter slow-mo, and actually is really intense as Gromit rushes to his rescue. Although he celebrates as soon as his dog takes the hit. I mean, your dog could die, dude. And of course, we have to have a fake-out death scene, and... Oh, will you stop? He's not gonna die.
He is! He is!
Look, this film is so stupid. Their tears are probably gonna bring him back from the dead, or he'll resurrect from the power of love.
Don't be ridiculous. The smell of cheese brings him back from the dead.
What the fuck? I must say, films like this and Ernest Scared Stupid have no right being as good as they are. Both are goofy comedies, but both are actually a lot scarier than you would have ever expected. Wallace and Gromit is aimed towards children, but because I'm a dinosaur, I was 14 by the time it came out. But I can see small children being terrified of this. It's incredibly well animated, but exceptionally well written, and I'm so glad they didn't Americanize it. I'd highly recommend it if you're unfamiliar with the series, but prepare yourself for one hell of a ride.
This film is phenomenal. The animation is nothing short of mind-blowing, the characters are charming and likable, the humor is terrific, and as stated, it has no business being as clever, witty, or exciting as it is. Aardman could have very easily phoned this one in to appease American audiences, but they went the extra mile and delivered a perfect encapsulation of the Wallace and Gromit charm. I do think the feature-length runtime caused the pacing to sag a bit towards the end, and the villain is pretty forgettable, but as a longtime fan of all things Wallace and Gromit, there's not much more you could ask for from their first feature-length outing.
Okay, done. Now, can you send me back to the future, please?
You know what, Rob? I think this is a learning experience for you.
What? No, you promised you'd send me back.
Do you think I'm some kind of fool? I saw what you did.
Oh. Well, look, Pornhub recommended that, and I accidentally clicked it, and...
What? No! You completely ignored what I said, and you prevented your original Lord of the Rings review. You put your entire future at jeopardy.
Look, I just had to fix it.
Well, somehow you've made it worse, and now you must face the consequences of your actions.
How?
Look, I shall send you back to the future, but first, you must face the worst horror and thriller movies that have ever existed.
No.
Can't
you just send me back now?
No.
Okay.
What have I become? What even is my life now? It all used to be so simple. And now? Shitty movies. So many shitty movies. But it's not over. More shitty movies. The worst ones imaginable. I need to gain closure from this. I need to confront the shitty movies and find inner peace with them. Once I find inner peace with the worst cinema has to offer, I myself can be at peace.